Welcome to Supplier Edge. Really excited today to have Fred Lona of Hilton Worldwide join us. He's going to be able to really go over what Hilton looks for when they bring on diverse suppliers and kind of some of the opportunities that they have. So really looking forward to today's talk. But before we dive in there, I'm just going to do just less than a minute of housekeeping. First, there's a chat box you should be able to see at the bottom left if you're watching this live. Please ask questions during the event. Right now you can ask questions. We're going to queue them up, and then after Fred gives his presentation, we will go through and I will make sure we get your questions answered. Should we not be able to get through all the questions, and that's happened on presentations before, we want to make sure all your questions get answered, and we'll make sure that, especially if you go join our LinkedIn community we call it the Supplier Edge community, and we'll provide a link in the chat shortly. If you ask any question you get there, we've answered every single question that's come through. We love to help people. We've got a whole team here at Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corp that is really geared just to making sure we can be as helpful for business owners, especially those who want to dive into the supply chain and make the most of it. So really looking forward to that. With that, I'm ready to really get us going here. So the first thing I want to say is, my name is Dustin Luther. I am going to be hosting this, but really I'm just going to turn this over to Fred pretty quickly. I'm the Director of Engagement here at Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corp. And our interest in supplier programs is really helping companies understand how their business credit can play a small but often very critical role as they look to break into these programs and grow within them. So if you ever have any questions, there'll be a number at the end you'll be able to dial to get those things answered. But really today it's about Hilton and Fred Lona, who's the Senior Director of Supplier Diversity at Hilton Worldwide. And with that, Fred, I really I'm excited and want to welcome you to today's program.
Thank you, Dustin.
And I'm really just going to turn it over to you. I see you've already taken control of the slides. I'm going to let you do that. So please take it from here, Fred.
All right. Hello, this is Fred Lona, and it's a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank you for your attendance. This information that will assist you in better positioning yourself as a supplier to the hospitality industry. This session is an overview of the elements necessary to do business in this industry. As you are aware, there are no free lunches. Therefore, I will provide a short commercial overview of who we are before starting. During my presentation, I will be using Hilton as an example of the information you need to know as a potential supplier during the positioning process. Hilton Worldwide is the leading global hospitality company. Lodging facilities range from luxurious full-service hotels to extended stay hotels and resorts. Hilton has over 4,200 hotels and time-sharing properties and over 690,000 rooms. I am sure we can find you a room if you need one. Since 2007, we are the fastest growing global hospitality company. Various brands, Hilton brands, are pictured here. I am sure most of you may be familiar with them, but some may not recognize that they are all Hilton Worldwide hotels. Each brand offers different services for their customers. This allows Hilton to meet market demand and its customer needs and expectations. Most people also don't realize most of our hotels are franchises. If anyone is interested in becoming a franchisee, feel free to contact me and I will put you in contact with our development group. A quick overview of Hilton's current status reveals that Hilton Worldwide re-entered the public market via the New York Stock Exchange on December 12, 2013. Currently, over 60% of our pipeline is outside of the USA. As you can see, with the construction of over 100,000 rooms and the addition of new brands like Courier, we've been busy. Suppliers also need to be aware of our mission. It is important that suppliers realize that the mission is simple: be the best. Therefore, we expect our suppliers to be the best and provide us their best efforts and products and services at all times. As part of Hilton's commitment to diversity, a diversity and inclusion statement was prepared to ensure team members were aware of Hilton's position on this issue. Incorporated into Hilton's corporate diversity and inclusion statement is its vision, mission, and values commitment. As you can see, which I highlighted in red, suppliers are included in the statement along with guests, owners, and partners. In other words, this is an all-inclusive statement that represents all the various parts of the business and our constituencies, from the revenue side to the supply side. These are just some of the awards and recognition that the Supplier Diversity Program achieved this year and do not include all by any measure. Several of these awards are repeats. As you can see, via the awards and recognition, the community is noticing Hilton's efforts in supplier diversity and recognizing Hilton is walking the talk. Enough with the commercial. In order to be successful in partnering or selling, it is important to understand the customer's organizational structure and processes. Without this understanding, your chances of success are greatly diminished. As a result, the following slides will provide the type of information you need to know about your potential customer in order to appear knowledgeable of the customer processes and industry practice. Understanding the business model of your customer will assist you in determining the best strategy for approaching them and where the best entry point is for you. Hilton's business types are franchise hotels, most of our businesses, operating hotels for owners and investors, a large segment, ownership of flagship resorts, airports, municipality sites like convention centers. These are the big boxes and facilities that everyone is acquainted with. Hilton is headquartered in McLean, Virginia, and we have regional supply management offices in the United Kingdom, Dubai, Singapore, Chicago, LA, and Phoenix. Suppliers need to understand that Hilton Supply Management, or HSM, is a division of Hilton Worldwide. HSM is responsible for all the procurement needs for the corporation and over 4,200 properties. This also includes providing its services to third-party properties. These are ownership groups owning multiple brands such as Marriott, Hyatt, etc. This GPO functionality enables HSM to service these properties as well. HSM is also responsible for providing and implementing Hilton's global programs and services. This is an important fact as other hospitality companies differ in the way they handle procurement. Some contract out to a third-party GPO like a vendor. Others provide assorted internal and external procurement process depending on the type of services and products required. Once you understand who handles the procurement and what products and services are being offered, then you're ready to strategize your approach. Hilton is a centrally led procurement organization. This means direction and guidelines are filtered to the various buying units. HSM utilizes the elements of strategic sourcing, systems contracting, low-cost country sourcing, in-country contracting. Before approaching HSM, a supplier must determine where he fits in the procurement model. Once you determine where you fit, you're ready to approach HSM or any other supply chain. Most suppliers don't realize there are 4 touch points that a supplier can use to enter Hilton's supply chain, and they depend on the products and service offers in the supplier's service area. These entry points are international service areas like our global hotels, national service areas in the USA, regional service areas, multiple hotels within a region, and local service areas, individually, locally, hotels. In this section, I want to discuss, the requirements and opportunities in the hospitality industry and Hilton Worldwide. The issue I stated earlier, is not only knowing where to enter the supply chain, but ensuring you meet the supplier criteria established by your potential customer. as well as demonstrating your understanding of their procurement and business practices. This is a must. Without this, you're going to fail. First, to do business with HSM, you need to understand only the best suppliers are chosen via a competitive bid process. Second, you need to understand the entry or registration process. I can hear the groaning already, but it is important to realize that any organization you will be approaching will require at least one, that you register on their supplier portal, which is easily the most misunderstood process by suppliers. Supplier registration is just that, no more, no less. It is not a supplier approval process or validation. Supplier registration provides an important part to any procurement process. It provides a means by which suppliers can be channeled into the procurement process for consideration, review, and evaluation. Remember, if you want to play with me, it's my rules, my ball, and my field. 2, recognize that business will only be awarded via competitive bid. The more you bid, the better you will get at it as you learn the intricacies of the customer's bid process. This slide represents what you will need to demonstrate to do business with HSM or any other corporation. Review of the listed items shouldn't be of a surprise to anyone. Items listed are the basics any supplier should be ready to address with their potential supplier. Besides supplier capabilities, you must be ready to negotiate a contract, T&Cs common to the customer and industry. That means familiar yourself with the T's and C's which are deal breakers. Financial strength is a must. Corporate America is slow to pay. You need to ensure you have the financial capability to properly manage your cash flow during the length of the agreement. You must be ready to share various aspects of your spend data with your customer. Industry standard reporting is required in order to verify volume discounts, royalties, commissions, and admin fees. And I think some people that are not familiar with the industry are not aware of these various different reporting aspects. By understanding your customer needs, you should be able to determine if the type of products and services you are a match. This is just an overview of the hotel needs or core items. Usually, if you go to their websites, you will find a complete list of their needs. Suppliers need to understand that certain products and services may not be practical to market at the enterprise level, but rather at the individual hotel level. For instance, if you are a distributor of TVs, you probably won't be a match for Hilton worldwide, as this is the type of product is negotiated at the factory level. But for the individually owned hotels, you could be an ideal candidate. This list is a more comprehensive list of the enterprise or corporate needs. Research and knowledge of the industry will provide you other channels of opportunity that could be available to you. Research will indicate that many of the smaller hotels are locally owned and may be better suited for your services. Doing business with Hilton or any big company includes some basic assumptions. 1, that you are ready to do business with corporate America. When you realize it's their rules, and unlike baseball, you only get one strike when you are the new supplier. Remember, you have to be better than the current supplier as you are an unknown entity. Corporate America assumes when you present, you are ready, and your inability to demonstrate that will be perceived as an unfit supplier or supplier mismatch. Therefore, do your homework. Remember, you are the visiting team. New suppliers need to have market knowledge. You need to be aware of market trends, see the future, prepare, and adjust. Examples are changes in the economy. 2, be aware as supplier rationalization increases, it increases corporate leverage, reduces transaction and labor costs. Corporate America is always looking for new ideas to reduce costs and increase revenues. Growing e-commerce means e-payment processing, faster payment, reduction of errors, better inventory control, and detailed reporting. Sustainability, it's more important than you think. You really need to understand what it is to be perceived as a potential supplier that can provide solutions. Remember, large companies are not quick or agile, but slow and rigid. Utilize internal advocates like me. Use them to help you contact the correct individuals or processes, be responsive, and network to meet advocates to keep you informed of market trends and opportunities. Attending industry conferences provides you industry knowledge and networking opportunities. It also allows you to see what your competitors are offering. Conferences to consider include hospitality and lodging conferences, branding conferences, AHOA, NABHOOD, BITEC, or other specialized conferences that provide you access to decision makers. When you market your company, always be prepared. Be professional, quick, direct, read the contract beforehand. Know the T's and C's that are important. Remember, corporate America is buying you. People buy from people. Bidding process. Timing is everything. Stay positive in all contacts. Request information, details, explanation. This is the time to ask questions before the bid is due. Ensure the buyer has your company's information regarding your managerial and technical personnel, quality, reliability of products and services, delivery and flexibility of your service, the service areas of your corporation, your technology and how it fits with our technology, and the total cost of your products and services. The supplier section is the most important process for you to understand. You will need to compete. You are always being evaluated, whether it's your marketing material, phone conversation, networking abilities, emails, websites, etc. Always be responsive and timely. You can say no, believe it or not. But if you choose not to participate, inform the buyer and tell them why. This will move you up a notch with the buyer. This will also ensure you are invited to participate in the next opportunity. It is very disheartening to see suppliers who have gotten into the process, getting on the bid process, and then don't respond. All you need to do is say, no, I don't have to be there. I can't do it. We don't care for the reason. Just let us know. This is a pictorial view of what you need to determine as a supplier. Where you fit will determine the best entry point for you as a supplier. This section reviews the basic requirements of the hospitality industry for its suppliers and should not be a surprise to you. As you can see, the business models for this industry match up with Hilton business models in most cases. The important items before approaching the industry is know the requirements for doing business. Capital requirements are a deal breaker, as well as branding, bonding, and insurance requirements. I forgot to move this along, but as you can see, these are the same concepts that I have been discussing with Hilton, and that's the reason I wanted to introduce Hilton as I did, to see how you can have a concrete model to compare. You need to determine if your operations can match up with the operational strengths and practices for the industry. For example, can you provide the volumes required? Do you service the area that is required? What are your variety of food service concepts that you can provide? What is the expertise? Can you be a solution provider? Finally, does the buyer have the correct information regarding your company's capabilities and core competencies? Remember, you are consistently changing in today's market evolution. As it changes, update the buyer. Two things are accomplished here. One, he knows that you're flexible, you're moving, you're staying abreast of the market. And second, it's an opportunity for you to network with the buyer. Finally, you better have a website, and it better be updated, informative, and professional, as this is what a buyer first uses to determine your suitability as a supplier during his initial interview. It's so disheartening to see suppliers who have a half-baked website up there, and this is a very important marketing tool for you. suppliers immediately go to your website to determine who you are, what your real core competencies are. If you don't have a good one now, you better get one. I hope this information was informative and useful to you. My contact information is listed for your review. To register as a potential supplier, I recommend that you visit our two websites listed to gain a detailed understanding of who we are and the processes required to do business with Hilton. Thank you for your time, and I will now open the session for questions.
Well, Fred, thank you so much. You were just chock full of great information. My team here, we put it on mute a little so we could chat and just going, gosh, this is just really, really helpful. If somebody's looking to do business with Hilton, that just you just gave such awesome insight. So really want to thank you. I'm going to dive into Q&A. First, I thought I'd let everyone know that we have 2 additional SupplierEdge webinars scheduled for this year. We have the Pacific Southwest Supplier Diversity Council is going to come on and talk about how do you really leverage your diversity certification and status to get corporate and government contracts. And then we're going to have Scott Davidson, who came on earlier, talking about veteran programs, doing a follow-up one. So if there's any veteran entrepreneurs, people with veteran status, he's just incredible. He had one of the most informative ones on that subject I've ever heard, and it was really how do you leverage your veteran status to get government contracts. And he's going to go down to the state level this time. The last time was a lot of federal contracts. So with that said, if anyone wants to register, obviously dnb.com/supplier, you'll get all the information. So Fred, I'd like to open this up to questions. We have a ton of them came in, some great stuff here. I'm going to start with one that was emailed to us yesterday. It came from a man, Adam, and I'm worried I might butcher his last name, but I believe it's Washchik. And he was saying, he produces custom packaged mints, and he feels like they beat the competition on price and quality, but he often finds purchasers are happy to keep buying without looking at somebody new. What's the best way to break through and get momentum with a company like Hilton?
I think one of the first things you can do is start by selling to an individual hotel and start making the break there, so you have the references made from the actual hotel user that we're trying to satisfy, our customer. So that's been an approach that starts out. Quite frankly, people have to realize that because we have 95% of our hotels are franchises, they don't have to use our programs. So we have to always consistently market our programs as well as be very competitive, and which we are. So that the best way to come in is start in small, build up the volume from one hotel to another, move from that local individual hotel to a regional program, and from there you can move it across. But that's really the only way you can start moving across is with referrals.
Totally makes sense. We had somebody ask one that I thought was might be fairly easy to answer. They ask, are there any RFPs posted in a central location?
No, we don't do that. We operate on the system where you're invited to bid. That's why registration is such an important part. What we're looking at, because we have limited resources, we're operating on a priority list. As we're bringing issues or projects to our attention, we're operating there. What we need, we use our database of suppliers is for us to find suppliers that have registered, coming in there and look at it. What people have to recognize, our registration process is 2-phase. The first phase is a yes or no. If you are accepted, what that means is that when an opportunity comes in, there's going to be additional vetting required. That's when we get down to the financials. That's when we get down to the real nitty-gritty. Can you provide the volumes? Can you service the areas that are involved in the contract?
That totally makes sense to me. You mentioned so many interesting things during the talk between kind of capital requirements and financial requirements, as well as just credibility kind of building tools, whether it be websites or other ways that they can come in and really demonstrate that they're a business. That's obviously topics that are super near and dear to the Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corp. Our hearts here at Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corp. So I was wondering if you might expand a little bit on just how do you what type of resources do you look at when a company comes in and you want to judge their financial capability to take projects on?
Okay, that's where we get into the second part of the vetting. What that means is we're going to come in, we're going to ask for information. We're going to ask, that's when we bring you into the office. We're going to sit down with you across the table, and we're going to find out what can you really provide us, and then what are you going to do. We're going to compare you against the industry, your industry that's providing those services or products to us. We're aware of what the margin should be, what the different fees that are involved. So you have to come in and show us what you can provide, that you're providing us something that's better, something that's less expensive than your competitors, and that you can do it on a dependable and in a very quality process. So I think that's important. Once we get in, the process is really what we're looking for is to really figure out who fits in the process, because there's so many suppliers that don't even do your homework. I'm sorry, but I don't need welders, okay? And I have people that call me up like that. So you have to understand, if you don't do your homework, when you come up, you look foolish, and forevermore, that one-time shot is gone.
Which totally makes sense. So, we've got a couple of questions about just expanding on supplier diversity issues and how you guys approach that. Do you have special programs for women-owned businesses, veteran-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses? What type of programs are they, and how does somebody kind of get a better handle if they're new to that? What should they be doing to really leverage those various statuses?
Do your homework. The first step is all suppliers have to register on our supplier portal, and that's because when I first started out the program here, we were only requiring the diverse suppliers to register, and then someone brought up a legitimate claim to me. They says, well, why are we the only ones that have to register? And then we realized, yeah, why is it? So we've now changed everything. We've now moved into much more complex systems that are tracking everything. So that's part of the process. If you want to be doing business with us, you have got to be registered, because that's why we need a phase one, because from then on, we're going to be tracking you electronically from contracts. What the Supplier Diversity Program does to the diverse suppliers is to provide you an opportunity to, one, lead you through the process, help you through the process, and potentially get you into the office with the decision maker. But what Supplier Diversity Program does not do, it does not lower the supplier criteria required to do business with Hilton. If you don't match the criteria, it doesn't matter who you are, what certificates you have, I can't help you.
It totally makes sense.
So really what I am is I'm access. I can get you to the front of the line, but once you're in the office, then you have to recognize you're competing with everybody else.
So another question we had came around time frames. What is a time frame of a typical supplier when they come in from when their original registration submission as a new vendor to getting contracts and being part of the Hilton supply chain?
Well, it depends on in what field you registered for or what products and services. It can be as quickly as 30, 45 days if that's the opportunity and that's just chance, or it can be a year and a half, because we have an existing contract. We are not going to unhook an existing supplier that's providing us products and services just to add somebody else or to include diverse suppliers. You have to earn the business. You have to recognize our cycle times. And let's face it, right now, if you're in business, unless you have something that you invented, somebody else, a competitor, has the same product or service, and is probably ahead of you in line or is already providing that service to us. What you have to understand is, when is the cycle time for that contract, doing your homework so you're ready for it, so when it comes up, you can be evaluated properly, you're ready, you know what questions to ask, you know what you need to do, you need what to provide, and you're ready and you can go.
It totally makes sense. It's interesting how much you talk about, really doing the research is so important. We've had a couple of people ask, questions around just who's the right contact. And I know you've mentioned, sometimes it's the individual hotel or chains, and sometimes it's the Hilton Worldwide. Is there a way that they should, be reaching out to know who to reach out to, and any tips you can provide there in terms of, especially if it's not at the global level, who they might contact?
Yes, I think you need to, once you've looked at the industry, and you have to understand, I've only given you a sliver of the industry. There are so many hotels out there that are independently owned and managed, okay, that are independents. You can approach them. You have to do the research and figure out if you go where to market yourselves. If you're going against the if you're going to market yourself to chains like Hilton, Hyatt, Choice, Marriott, all of those type of brands, you have to recognize you have to have the size, the financial capability to manage large and provide large volumes of products or services in vast areas. If you don't have that, then you need to look at your business plan and figure out, I've got to start with the local hotels in my service area, existing service area that I can handle. And as you grow, then you begin to start moving up to the next region and expanding your regional coverage. When you're doing that, that's how you move to the regional offices. That's when you move in. In fact, many hotels have what they call meetings where they compare notes and share vendors and say, well, this is a good guy. You got to use him for this product. We helped us out great. So I think you need to look at it. It's not easy to do because you're dealing with entrepreneurs, but you have to do it. You've got to start, and you have to be realistic about your business needs and really and what you can produce. You have to be realistic. Corporate America is not what they call it, we're not going to help you start out. You've got to be ready to do business with us.
It totally makes sense. So, and thank you so much. So, there really are another 5, 6, at least maybe even more questions than that have queued up. But you've given us, more than the half an hour we asked, so I really want to thank you so much. I think the last question I'd like to end it with is, are there any specific needs that you have right now that you're finding a hard time finding, the right kind of suppliers?
Right now we're looking for suppliers that can provide us quality products and services and are flexible enough to be able to adapt to our changing operations. We're going through vast changes in the way we operate, the way we deal with suppliers, who we're dealing with, and they have to be suppliers that are willing to potentially do business with our prime suppliers because we are truly consolidating our database because of the footprint that we have. Ideally, what supplier we would like to do business with can help us out internationally, can help us on the domestic, it can help us down at the local level. So that's what it is, but there aren't many suppliers for that. So you have to see the market, and I'm looking for sophisticated suppliers that understand my business. And if you don't do your research, you don't go out and talk to people, then you don't know my business, and you're wasting your time and our time.
Well, that's so wonderful. So, Fred Lona, thank you once again. I just put a link inside the chat for everybody that goes to our LinkedIn community. We're going to provide the links you mentioned in your slide to the Hilton Supplier website, to other resources that have come up. We'll be putting all of that, as well as links to this recording. So if people listening know others who they think would find it helpful, please share it when it gets live. It really shouldn't take us much time at all. These things go pretty fast these days. So, Fred, thank you again from the entire team here at Dun & Bradstreet Credibility Corp. This really was super informative, and I really want to thank you for that.
You're welcome, Dustin. Have a great day.
Wonderful, and thanks to everyone who listened in and participated and all the wonderful questions. We look forward to seeing you on a future Supplier Edge webinar.